How do we position ourselves for success? The right actions in the right situations consistently is everything. We should familiarize ourselves with the concepts of the earth and the 9 situations. In a nutshell, our environment and relations with the other parties. The setting you're in and the relationships there will tell you which of the situations you're in. Once there, we can look at which tactics to use. In this video, we'll shoot to better understand the situation and the dynamics and how to act. As you watch, think about what you can work on yourself in the self-improvement area to get there. Tell me what that is in the comments.
I'm Michael Archuleta, and these are the things we need to know.
Like badass skills and tactics? Subscribe and hit the bell.
In all fighting, the direct method may be used for joining battle, but indirect methods will be needed in order to secure victory. Indirect tactics efficiently applied are inexhaustible as heaven and earth, unending as the flow of rivers and streams. Like the sun and moon, they end, but to begin anew. Like the 4 seasons, they pass away to return once more. There are not more than 5 musical notes, yet the combinations of these 5 give rise to more melodies than can ever be heard. Do not repeat the tactics which have gained you one victory, but let your methods be regulated by the infinite variety of circumstances. Hence, in the wise leader's plans, considerations of advantage and of disadvantage will be blended together. For now, just know that there are too many tactics to give your specific problem an answer in a generalized video, but also that this video shows you how to navigate your situation better and decide and act on the tactics yourself as you do your thing. We have to use the tactics that are advantageous to the situation we're in. To do that, we first have to understand not only the physical settings, but the power dynamic as well. Once we recognize the power dynamic, we can look for our opportunities to position ourselves better. The reason that I say we need to first understand the situations is because that is what leads us to our resources and options. Now, these next few quotes talk about one position against another and what to do. We should think of the words not literally, but figuratively. That way, they're applicable to our individual situations. Also keep in mind that each of these quotes tie into other quotes. It's like a web that interlaces in a changing cycle and never-ending spiral. This is because our situations are always changing. As time goes on, things naturally occur, things we can count on. Plus, we're probably working towards something, so we're growing, we're changing. For sure, there are other people doing things, making advances in their fields or on your prospects, and it never ends. Anyways, let's start here. Security against defeat implies defensive tactics. Ability to defeat the enemy means taking the offensive. Standing on the defensive indicates insufficient strength, attacking a superabundance of strength. The general who is skilled in defense hides in the most secret recesses of the earth. He who is skilled in attack flashes from the topmost heights of heaven. Thus, on the one hand, we have ability to protect ourselves. On the other, a victory that is complete. Knowing the place and the time of the coming battle, we may concentrate from the greatest distances in order to fight. Appear at points which the enemy must hasten to defend. March swiftly to places where you are not expected. You can be sure of succeeding in your attacks if you only attack places which are undefended. You can ensure the safety of your defense if you only hold positions that cannot be attacked. Hence, that general is skillful in attack whose opponent does not know what to defend, and he is skillful in defense whose opponent does not know what to attack. Therefore, the clever combatant imposes his will on the enemy, but does not allow the enemy's will to be imposed on him. By holding out advantages to him, he can cause the enemy to approach of his own accord, or, by inflicting damage, he can make it impossible for the enemy to draw near. If the enemy is taking his ease, he can harass him. If well supplied with food, he can starve him out. If quietly encamped, he can force him to move. If we wish to fight, the enemy can be forced to an engagement even though he be sheltered behind a high rampart and a deep ditch. All we need do is attack some other place that he will be obliged to relieve. If we do not wish to fight, we can prevent the enemy from engaging us, even though the lines of our encampment be merely traced out on the ground. All we need to do is to throw something odd and unaccountable in his way. You may advance and be absolutely irresistible if you make for the enemy's weak points. You may retire and be safe from pursuit if your movements are more rapid than those of the enemy. By discovering the enemy's dispositions and remaining invisible ourselves, we can keep our forces concentrated, while the enemy's must be divided. Rouse him and learn the principle of his activity or inactivity. Force him to reveal himself so as to find out his vulnerable spots. Carefully compare the opposing army with your own, so that you may know where strength is superabundant and where it is deficient. In making tactical dispositions, the highest pitch you can attain is to conceal them. Conceal your dispositions, and you will be safe from the prying of the subtlest spies, from the machinations of the wisest brains. How victory may be produced for them out of the enemy's own tactics. That is what the multitude cannot comprehend. All men can see the tactics whereby I conquer, but what none can see is the strategy out of which victory is evolved. Do not repeat the tactics which have gained you one victory, but let your methods be regulated by the infinite variety of circumstances. Military tactics are like underwater, for water in its natural course runs away from high places and hastens downwards. So in war, the way is to avoid what is strong and to strike at what is weak. Water shapes its course according to the nature of the ground over which it flows. The soldier works out his victory in relation to the foe whom he is facing. Therefore, just as water retains no constant shape, so in warfare, there are no constant conditions. He who can modify his tactics in relation to his opponent and thereby succeed in winning may be called a heaven-born captain. To see victory only when it is within the ken of the common herd is not the acme of excellence. Neither is it the acme of excellence if you fight and conquer and the whole empire says, "Well done." What the ancients called a clever fighter is one who not only wins, but excels in winning with ease. Hence, his victories bring him neither reputation for wisdom nor credit for courage. Hence, the skillful fighter puts himself into a position which makes defeat impossible, and does not miss the moment for defeating the enemy. He wins his battles by making no mistakes. Making no mistakes is what establishes the certainty of victory, for it means conquering an enemy that is already defeated. Thus, it is that in war, the victorious strategist only seeks battle after the victory has been won, whereas he who is destined to defeat first fights and afterwards looks for victory. The consummate leader cultivates the moral law and strictly adheres to method and discipline. Thus, it is in his power to control success. To secure ourselves against defeat lies in our own hands, but the opportunity of defeating the enemy is provided by the enemy himself. The good fighters of old first put themselves beyond the possibility of defeat, and then waited for an opportunity of defeating the enemy. Thus, the good fighter is able to secure himself against defeat, but cannot make certain of defeating the enemy. You can see that you have to be more strategic with your tactics and more tactical with your strategies. We need a solid understanding of our situation and our target. In the meantime, we also have to be working on ourselves so we can strengthen our position to get optimum leverage. When we attack strategically by using our strengths against their weaknesses, we do that. We position ourselves for that better leverage. Be tactical because of your strategy. Use the right actions. Do that by setting up the right disciplines and methods to level up. Methods and disciplines are critical to naturally reacting tactically for the strategy and objective. Reflect and reassess regularly. Always plan and always have the strategies, the plans, on your mind. Now the general who wins a battle makes many calculations in his temple ere the battle is fought. The general who loses a battle makes but few calculations beforehand. Thus, do many calculations lead to victory, and few calculations to defeat? How much more no calculation at all? It is by attention to this point that I can foresee who is likely to win or lose. Therefore, the clever combatant imposes his will on the enemy, but does not allow the enemy's will to be imposed on him. Made it this far? You're legit. Comment full video crew in the comments. Like, subscribe, and check out the videos in the end card as well. Until next time, stay badass. I recorded the entire Art of War for you. I put up every quote as it's spoken and added background music for relaxation and growth. I kept it all under an hour too. Be sure to check it out, save it, and refer to it often.